All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Implausible Nature. Marshall Neal, I need a Implausible Nature mug brewing coffee now. Love it. We should make some mugs. That'd be pretty neat. I don't drink coffee, but
It's
is it
on
on
the
the website,
merch.
the merch website? Yeah, but we don't really
Yeah,
we don't really get anything from that. Like it's just our logo on a black mug. Like we could we could do much better than that. Um, so let us know, guys. I know last time we had some audio issues initially, so please let us know that we look good, sound good. Well, I don't know how good we look, but that we sound okay. so, so that way we can make any adjustments before we get too far in. We may,
hello all.
yeah. Um, so, uh, so yeah. So, uh, speaking of merch, don't forget to check out baronofdice.com. They've got both sets of our dice that we currently have. We've got our regular dice, our red ones, and then our patron exclusive dice, which now come in metal tins for free, which is nice. Um, so so yeah, so check him out. Use discount code IN40K. He's got a lot of awesome new dice coming all the time. So if you play other factions, like I play Necrons and Bob plays Drukhari, uh, you can you can get dice for those factions as well. Something I was thinking about, and maybe you guys can tell me what you think. Um, he sells dice bags. If we were to get dice bags with the Implausible Nature logo on them, would that be something you guys would be interested in? Because I I would definitely like some Implausible Nature dice bags, but I want to make merch that you guys want. So let us know down in the comments. What do you guys think? Do you want dice bags? And let us know because we'll get them made if you want them. And what other kinds of merch do you want? Um, I really want to kind of look into more of that because you know it's it's fun to be able to have great looking accessories and stuff like that. So so yeah,
It's
drift.
starting to boost me a little bit.
Where's you? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, you're sitting at 0. Oops. All right. I boosted Bob up a little bit for everyone. So
All right, that should help out a little bit.
so Drifted Cult says pretty sure PCS and PSB, Primaris Crusader Squads, and Sword Brethren, for those who don't know the acronym, um, are going to take a points hike in the data slate. And Wolish says, I can see them, the Sword Bros taking a hike, but not the PCS because the Neos are lower wounds. Well, they have the lower save, same number of wounds, but, um, you know, I don't know. I don't think, I don't, people aren't spamming PCS. So if we were seeing people running 6 squads of them and dominating tournaments with them, yeah, we'd see a points hike. But I don't think they're going to go up. Sword Bros might go up a smidge. Um, but the thing to think about is they're not being spammed. People aren't taking, giant blocks of them. Most people are taking them Helbrecht or some other character in an impulsor 5-man. And even in the other detachments are splashing them, just even a one-off of them. I did it in our Ironstorm detachment. So the thing to think about is, yeah, they're really cheap at 140 points, but to make them really shine, you need to add in a strong character like the Emperor's Champion and Helbricht. Um, and then you got to get them somewhere, right? Because they're not fast and they're not super durable, so they need a ride. They got to be in that impulsor. So now you're looking at around 300 points worth of units to make them worth, what they do. So I don't see them really tanking them with points, because you're spending 300 points. Yeah, the unit is 140, but to get where it needs to go and do what it needs to do, it's like 300 points. What are your thoughts, Bob?
One of the things that's going to be important to note with this is when they're cultivating what to nerf and buff, they take the lists because they have access to all that, from all of the different games that are being played. I wouldn't like that job, let me tell you. But and they kind of look at that. So if you're running these tournament lists that are actually going out and playing games, there's not a lot of Primaris Crusader squads being played. They're not going to touch them, especially if those lists are not winning as many games. So it's all about the wins and losses and what's most common in those lists. And right now, what's most common is going to be those Firstborn Crusaders. And they're showing up in a ton of lists right now.
Yeah.
But even with that being said, I would say that we're probably going to take a 10 or 15 point up, and then my prediction is we're going to get a very soft hand on maybe your Primaris or Sword Brother, maybe 5 points on that, and then we'll see an up on the Impulsors.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Firstborn Crusaders are going to be less than 80 points. They're ridiculous at 65. They're still fantastic at 80 or 85. You're not probably going to take 6 of them, but you're going to take several, especially in an Ironstorm list, because they're just that good. They're better than TAC Marines. So, or GW could just nerf them into the ground and make them 100 points or something, which would be too much in my opinion, but they are better than TAC Marines, and I do expect when we get an index for them to just straight up go away. So we'll see what happens. So check out a few of the more comments here. Matthew says he took the Patreon dice to a tournament yesterday. They got some great comments from opponents, and they rolled like heroes. Awesome. Love to hear it. Square corners are the best, and I'm glad that you were able to represent and got some great comments on it. That's awesome. Leaks says...
plausible nature dice are magical.
Yeah. After seeing the Dark Angels Codex, I'm quite happy to not receive ours for as long as possible. So yeah, obviously the Dark Angels book leaked all over the internet yesterday, and which is hilarious because it's really the only book to have really fully leaked like that. Obviously yesterday was the embargo date, so reviewers can review it, and we'll get to know all that stuff anyway. So it only really leaked a day early, but we got high res images of the book, which is hilarious to me because Dark Angels are all the super secretive chapter. Keeping secrets or whatever, and their codex is the one that leaked. So I find that really ironic and funny. Yeah. So I want to get your thoughts on have you read the leaks, Bob? Seen the Dark Angels book?
I haven't read all of the rules. I did glance over them to see what what was the hoopla, and I listened to a couple videos, the overviews.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't lie, I wasn't paying super attention because I was playing some games with some friends. Which it was great.
Yeah.
busting out my Drakari for the first time ever. But
Yeah, how'd that go?
yeah, so the Dark Angels. I guess you could talk about them too. That went actually really well. So we did a 4-way battle. So that was interesting, kind of house ruling some of the stuff to make that work.
Mm-hmm.
But it went really well, teaching 3 of my friends how to play 40k.
Nice.
Yeah, 2 Chaos players. One of them was playing standard Chaos Space Marines. Another one was playing Space Wolves, Stormlance.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was playing Death Guard. So
Okay.
And I played Drakari. And they requested beginning of the game. I was like, you want to learn how to play it normally, objective, secondaries. They're like, no, let's just play Annihilation to get used to the things. I'm like, all right. You're gonna take the gloves off doing that. So everything, I didn't have to worry about any objectives. So it's like
murder, death, kill.
I played the combat patrol to be, yeah.
That's funny.
It was 500 points. I just played the combat patrol to be nice, but like disintegrator cannons against Space Marines are not nice. So
you're supposed to be the faceless Xenos for them to just beat up on, so that they get sucked into the game.
Well, they all ganged up on me because they always gang up on me because like, hey, the tournament player was gang up on Bob.
Yeah.
And I still 90% killed all of them.
Nice.
So they liked it though, and so eventually they killed me. But it was fun.
Nice. Well, good. Glad you got to finally take him out. You've been talking about him for years.
Yes, it's been a long time.
So back to the Dark Angels
as
Codex.
Far as the Dark Angels go,
Tell me what you think.
The lion got just slapped in the face. That's just ridiculous.
So, and for those of you who don't know,
385 points.
Yeah, but we don't know what his points are going to be. He could be 250 for all we know.
That leaked too.
No.
That leaked too.
The points are
There was a page that had I suppose they can change it.
The points, I wouldn't trust any points that come from leaks until it actually drops from the MFM, because it's a digital document. So yeah, and it's very easy to fake. So I don't trust any points leaks until, nor do I even bother with the people like, oh well, the book points. I'm like, the book points are irrelevant. They don't matter. Because the MFM is going to drop day one and tell us what the points are. So if he's like 250, okay.
He needs to drop like 150 points based on.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's 380 now, and if he, so the big changes, if you don't know, the lion lost his -1 damage, which is a huge debuff, and he also lost his sweep attack went to 1 damage. So those are 2 pretty big nerfs to him, and it's not like he was being spammed and in every list, and like people weren't running him anyway. So I don't know what the point of that was, but he's got to go down in points. He's 380 right now, I think. He needs to be like 250 or less, to be honest, to make him useful. Because if you look at Gilliman, he's got a 2 damage sweep attack, and he's like 355. So yeah, you can't be more expensive than Gilliman, and not. He's supposed to be the combat Primarch. So he definitely took it to the face.
So he got messed up.
But there's lots of wailing and gnashing of teeth from the
Terminators, which is going to absolutely destroy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so their Deathwing Terminator squad no longer can mix and match weapons. So you can't have a Thunderhammer Storm Shield guy with a Cyclone missile launcher on his head. So that pissed a lot of people off.
And they also can only take a max of 5.
That's on the knights. I think that's on the knights. I'll have to double check.
Yes, that's yeah.
I think the regular Deathwing can be 5 to 10. Yeah, regular Deathwing can be 5 to 10, but they're now literally a tactical Terminator squad, like in Codex Space Marines, except they can take a plasma cannon. They got a Watcher in the Dark, and then they have a better special rule. They have the Deathwing rule, which is they can ignore. It's the index rule for Terminators, which is ignore all modifiers to ballistic skill, weapon skill, and +1 to hit when you're hitting your oath target. So the Deathwing Knights also lost damage 3 on their maces, and they got crappy power swords in their place. People are also upset about the Calibanite companion guys. Honestly, I think they need an extra pip of AP, and they're fine. So, because they have a strike and a sweep profile, but they're AP1, which is terrible. Like, why are their power swords, when every other power sword is AP2, why are theirs AP1? So, that's kind of disappointing because they're fantastic models. And I'm sure DA players would love to run them.
They're just following the suit of the Sword Brethren.
Yeah, exactly. You know, imitation is the best form of flattery, and they're definitely trying to imitate us. But anyway, so those are like kind of the...
What I gleaned out of this Codex release is... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what I was gleaning out of all that is, you know, the specific, you know, we're Black Templar players, so we don't really care, like, too much. We want to know what's going on with them in the Codex. But the company, Games Workshop, took a win rate. You know, obviously you got to remember that these Codexes are written
months ago,
a year in advance of release.
Pretty much.
So... and then they get printed and all that stuff. So there's a little bit of that. But as a overall game, 10th edition hasn't changed too terribly much, other than as far as rules being changed, other than the Eldar, because let's just say the Eldar are broken as shit, as written. But other than that, most of them has just been point suggestions. But when you look at all the codexes that have been released thus far, it's an inverse of codex creep. It's like...
it's codex sleep.
Nerfing.
It's codex sleep.
Yeah. That's like, so all of the codexes have... even the Space Marines, there's exceptions to the rule, but they honestly rely on the index rules to really hum. They have been reduced in power, honestly. So, like I said, there's some exceptions to the rule. So, like, obviously, the Vanguard Ultramarine list is really good with themselves without having to use a supplement, but really high-powered ones like Ironstorm with Black Templars, that's not something the Codex can do by itself. Space Wolves and Stormlance, obviously, is not something they can do themselves. So they rely on other detachments, units, to really hum most of the time in Space Marines. Then you have NIDS, and then you have AdMech, Necrons. They're trending towards keeping the power level down on everything, and that would be great if you release everything all at the same time and reduce the power of everything all at once. But when you have an army that's 45% win rate and you release a codex that is significant nerfs, in my opinion, doesn't bode well. So I'm hoping and glad that we are not on the slate for at least the next year, so they can learn from this and make some adjustments.
Yeah. So I think now Necrons, I feel like overall are better than the index. despite the fact that they absolutely dumpstered Warriors and Lich Guard and reanimation protocols. I'm obviously a Necron player as well, and like I understand that like unkillable bricks of Warriors and Lich Guard are obnoxious and not fun to play against and boring. Um, so like they needed to be nerfed, absolutely. Did they need to nerf every single aspect of reanimation protocols? No. Like everything that related to it is just nerfed. So like the warriors themselves were nerfed. The reanimator aura was nerfed. The resurrection orb was nerfed. And literally every aspect of it was just heavy-handedly crushed. That went overboard. But then in the same token, like wraiths are freaking amazing. For a very short time, we had the immortal Doomsday Squad dealing devastating wounds everywhere. They just quickly fact that into oblivion. So now that strat is useless. More immortals though are still pretty good. Because now instead of a plasmancer, you can stick him with a chronomancer and bing 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 all over the board with his movement tricks. I think Necrons overall came out better, despite the fact that and Catan need to be nerfed. 255 points for the Nightbringer is absurd. I don't know if they're going to get touched this data slate, this MFM, just because they were just released. It's possible, but they definitely need to go up in points because the Feel No Pain adding on to all their other damage debuffs is insane. But back to the Codex sleep, as it were. I feel like you're right. We have not seen any Codex that has come out that is just like OP bonkers. Even Necrons, I think it increased in power level, but I don't think they're, unbeatable or, Eldar levels of broken or anything like that. So we'll have to see as time goes on how that, if GW continues in that trend or if they find more a balanced approach. But I think the Dark Angels Codex, even though it's not something that we are super interested in just because it's not our army, I think it gives us some insight into what we can expect in Black Templars Codex. So they have 3 detachments. They have their Index 1, which is largely unchanged, except they increased the cost of one of the strats, I believe, to 2 CP. Apparently it was their best strat. I don't remember which one it was. But their regular detachment was not super great to begin with. I did read through the other 2 detachments, the Terminator one and the Raven Wing one. They are okay. They're not bad. They're not like First Company bad. or Stormlance bad. But neither are they neither did any big synergies or combos jump out at me. Now I'm not a Dark Angel player, so I don't know their units inside and out. But I looked at that and they're Space Marines, right? So except for their unique units, which are mostly Terminators and Black Knights, I didn't see a ton of oh, look at this. Oh, you can do this combo. Oh, you can do this, sort of how we got real excited when we saw the Space Marine detachments and we got, started thinking about Firestorm and Ironstorm and some of the things that we can do, Vanguard. I didn't see any really big synergy combos that, there were some decent strats in there, but I just didn't see any that were this is awesome. So I don't know what that means for us, but it's something of note for sure. I think 3 detachments is definitely what all the Space Marine supplements are going to be getting. And somebody earlier here in the chat asked, It was Corporal Chaos. When our Codex drops, what do you think our detachments will look like? And we'll talk about that here in a second. But yeah, I think it does give us some information as to what to expect for our Codex eventually when it comes.
Yeah, I think the 3 detachments is what we kind of thought was going to happen. So we'll probably, through the trend, there has always been one that is basically the Codexes. I can't think of an example that's not. So we'll keep the one that's from the index, and then basically get 2 extra. So whatever that entails. So I'm sure we'll probably have like I think I mentioned in another video or maybe another stream. I think we'll probably have a Terminator one, and then maybe one massed infantry or something to that effect. But that kind of plays into what the next year is going to look like for us, and what we have to play with, and how our balanced data slate is going to look. So specifically, we're kind of talking about on that. So this is the data slate. So this is where they come out with things like Armor of Contempt, like they had in 9th edition, to fix differing things as well. And then they occasionally put out points. Sounds like we're going to get some points as well. So obviously we talked about the Firstborn Crusaders, that they're going to go up. That's just, right now I'm telling you, it's going up.
Scouts are going up. There's no way Scouts are going to stay at 55. They'll probably be 65 or 70.
Yeah, so those are for sure going up. I have heard tell that the Calidus is also going up for those that use the Calidus.
Wouldn't surprise me. She's 90 right now, right?
Significantly.
Really? You think she's going to go
I
up?
heard 110.
Oof. I was thinking 100.
I heard 110. So now with that being said, don't take anything that I say is 100% because it's not my normal source. But supposedly this guy has been playtesting the balance up slate. So 110. Take that with lots of grains of salt. This one is not a verified yet. So, but the Calidus going up. I don't have a ton of extra than that, but like I said, I would lay off very, very light on the Sword Brethren and Crusader squads, if at all. I don't think they're going to see much of a change. And certainly I don't see that, like, in the balanced data slate, I saw in a comment losing the 1+ damage. That will not happen.
They're not going to do that.
Maybe in a Codex supplement drop, but I doubt that's going to happen too, because the trend is to keep the units mostly the same, unless it's a really high powered unit. And again, as we talked about earlier in the stream, is they're not showing up in a ton of tournament wins. We do have tournament wins, but it's on the back of, I think we have a Gladius win, we have 2 or 3 Iron Storms, 1 Righteous Zeal, and I think we have and 1 Firestorm. So they're looking at the units for that.
Counterpoint, they nerfed Deathwing Knights for no reason. They lost a damage on their maces. So
they did. And they only have 5. But if you look at the units, there is I was looking at it on stat check. I don't remember the detachment, but there's one of the detachments that Deathwing can go into with the Space Marine Codex, and they have a much higher win rate with them.
Oh yeah.
They haven't won anything, but I don't remember which one it is.
They're also a stupid durable unit, and now they have Storm Shields options.
Yeah.
So now you have a 4 wound -1 damage model with a 2+ save and a 4+ invul and 5 toughness 5. They're ridiculously durable. So, typically, GW with melee units either leans towards like really durable and not a ton of damage output. See Assault Terminators. They don't have a ton of their Thunder Hammers are not super great, but they're really durable. Now we can make them much better because of our buffs in Righteous Crusaders. But versus like Sword Bros, they have 3 wounds, but they don't have any invul. They don't have any other defense debuffs or whatnot. They're strictly an offensive unit, and I don't. I could be wrong, but I don't see them nerfing them that hard, taking away that -1 damage. So,
Yeah.
or +1 damage, excuse me.
So my prediction, just to kind of keep it like on track here for a little bit. So Balace Dataslate, light touches. I feel like because there's some really hard matchups for us at the top of the curve here. You got Elderai, you have Votann, because they are priced to sell with that last
And they're tough, man.
release.
They are
also
tough.
Have the Chaos Space Marines, who are a big problem.
Votann are tough. Excuse me. My buddy Dan plays Votann, and my last game against him, I was like, man, I'm wounding everything on 5s. What's happening? So they're really durable, and and because they're cheap, there's a lot of them to kill. So it's they're a tough matchup for us.
Yeah, so I think those 3 players are probably gonna take the biggest hikes, and even though we're sitting at the 55 mark, 56 mark, those 3 are closer to 70, and they're gonna take the bulk of the nerfs. Now, the person that I talked to that playtested said that the bottom factions are going to get significant buffs.
Mm-hmm.
That they think they might be a replacement, which is unfortunate because you just want to do gentle buffs to see how it goes. You don't want to be like, oh, they're so buffed, then everyone's going to be playing them, and then they just can't lose. So we'll kind of see. I think we're going to be good where we're at. So Righteous Zeal is perfectly serviceable. Stat check has us at about a 52-53% win rate with that, which is perfectly serviceable. Iron Storm obviously is closer to 60, but that's going to drop off.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think is going to be more interesting to see how we perform is actually going to be with Gladius and Firestorm. So Gladius has some synergies that we've kind of talked about in previous, like you can shoot with them, which is a strong thing in the game right now. But it's like 1 unit, and otherwise you can give like advanced charge and various tactical things. Honestly, now Alex and I have talked about it behind the scenes, and I don't think we've actually voiced it in a video, but I don't even think that in all of my games, I probably have played 50, 60 games now, 10th edition, a ton. I don't think I've ever had a time in a game where I've really wanted advance and charge.
I've not
Maybe
needed
that's
it.
just me.
I've not needed it. I mean, like, I know people are really high on it, and it's like, yeah, advance and charge. And it's a good rule, but at the same time, I haven't really found myself wishing, oh, I wish I could advance and charge. So I don't see it as like a necessary piece to our puzzle. So
like, there's a lot of people playing in the detachment, and I would imagine that's one of the draws, but I don't know. I know that you get slight buffs and stratagems for close combat with the one that gives Lance rule, and then you obviously got the shooting buff, which Righteous Crusaders does not have. So it's more well-rounded. But, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
All right.
not my draw. But
So
then Firestorm is also doing really well, too.
yeah, I pulled up stat check, and right now overall Black Templars are sitting at 60%. This is from the Codex Necrons Admech drop. So if you look at Righteous Crusaders, though, it's right there in the comfort zone at 55%. Surprisingly, Firestorm is currently at an 80% win rate. However, gigantic caveat, it's only 10 games played. So that's not, I'm just throwing that out right away, because if it's less than, 30, 40 games, it's not, 10 games is too small of a data set. Compare that to Ironstorm, which is 67%, and Gladius, which is 60% at 30 and 39 games played, which is much more representative, much closer. It's going to eliminate some of those variables of dice rolls and, who you're playing against and whatnot. By comparison, Righteous Crusaders is at 105 games at 55%. So yeah, I think, interestingly enough, the other detachments are not on here. So people are not playing BT Vanguard, Stormlance, or what's the other one? First Company. Well, no one's playing First Company.
So one thing to note with stat check is you have to remember it is, if I recall correctly, it's Goonhammers and their associates that run that, and they pull the data from their battle tactic app, or their points app, which I don't recall the name of it because I use Tabletop Battles, which is through ITC. But so it might be skewed numbers a little bit because you have to use their app for them to get the stats.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
With that being said, it's still
true.
a decent representation of what we're looking at, because we don't have all the access to everything like Games Workshop does,
Yeah.
who gets all the data from everybody, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
But it's been shown that StatCheck has been pretty close to what Games Workshop has shown in their
Yeah.
meta updates. So, yeah, so we're going to be in a good place. Ironstorm is not going to hold this up anymore, though. So that's going to be, I think, a positive thing. Like we talked about before, I don't mind Gunline Templars at all. I'm okay with that, but at the same time, I don't want one detachment to be like the go-to always. I like to have some variety.
Yeah.
And I honestly really, really like Righteous Crusaders.
I do too.
So,
I like it because we have good buffs to melee in it. We have options to take our melee to the next level, versus just relying on a data sheet. Like shooting buffs are nice, but honestly, we have enough good data sheets like Lancers, Vindicators, Redemptors, Ballistas, that you can rely on the data sheet for our shooting needs, more so than our melee needs. Now, obviously, Sword Bros are probably one of the few data sheets that don't need any buffs to kill stuff, but having those buffs is certainly nice. And but like Crusaders really benefit from like the +1 AP. So do Terminators. Terminators really benefit from our Feel No Pain. So I really like our detachment as it stands right now. Hopefully, whenever we get our Codex, they will not make any changes to it, except for maybe, well, I doubt that they will give us a buff to our enhancements to allow us to have them be activated with Fervent, but that would be nice. But honestly, if it stayed exactly the same in the Codex, I'd be happy. Kristen S. Do you think that we will get new characters in our codex? No, I do not. I think I don't know that we're going to get a new unit at all, to be honest. I would be surprised if we got a new unit. Um, they did say well, we'll see. Every new codex is getting at least one new model. I think what we might get is like Terminator upgrade sprue or something like that. Um, but I don't really foresee us getting, uh, a brand new unit in addition to what we already have. Someone else mentioned it would be nice if like our Marshal and our Castellan had different abilities than their Codex counterparts. I wholeheartedly agree. Give us a reason to take them besides like, oh, I get a combi weapon. Because for the same points, it's like there's other options that are just as good or better. I'd rather,
Yep.
it was okay when we were saving 5 points, or whatever it was, 10 points, I can't remember. But overall, I would rather have them be the same points or maybe even slightly more expensive and have different rules, right, that focus on synergizing with our units, with Black Templar, and make them truly a unique unit. That's what I would love to see from our Marshal and Castellan. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, that would be a good change. Keep them same points. If you're not going to change them, then they have to be less. Because the combi is clearly subpar for what it is and what you get, especially after they change devastating wounds. So that's what I think on that. Someone else mentioned named character Castellan, one that is also named Draco. That would be awesome. But I'm not convinced that we're not going to get some Terminators. I don't got anything with that one, but that's what I would like to see because it fits what we do. I talked about that previously. But I'm not thinking it's going to happen. I would just like it to happen. Yeah, so those that you don't know, I'm surprised you wouldn't. It's LVO weekend, so I want to kind of touch on that a little bit. I mentioned a couple of people mentioning that.
Yep.
So LVO this weekend, and we actually do have someone who is in the top brackets right now, Ben Sherwin. So we've had him interviewed. He's actually part of the Frozen North gaming group, was like part of my group, just a few hours away. And he's taking an Iron Storm list. So he's currently ranked 8.
Nice.
So,
and then there was someone else, I forget his name, who was running caused all kinds of controversy all over the internet because he took a librarian in his Black Templar list. Now he's not running Righteous Crusaders, so it's legal. But is it moral and ethical? And I would venture to say it is not.
Hey, I never did buy that model, but
good, because I would have been flying
still
out west to melt it down in an inferno of Promethium. So,
we had a question as well. So, Emperor's Champion, what do you think you would do to make it more applicable? So, right now he is honestly really good for what he does. There is a need for your characters to be able to butcher stuff, and that's what he does, and Helberg does, and not have to worry about taking monster squads. So, I don't know if you've noticed, you may or may not have, high tournament lists do not do successful things with the Hellbruck, Castellan, Sword Brethren combo.
The 10-man. You're talking about the big 10-man.
Yeah, the 10-man Land Raider. There's anomalies, but overall not so good. So you need to have those smaller squads able to do some damage. And even though the Emperor's Champion doesn't buff his squad, he gets buffed by the squad that he's normally with, the Sword Brethren.
Mm-hmm.
So that allows him and the Sword Brethren to really punch up with a 5-man unit. So
Yeah.
Auspex did a really good job of talking about the Sword Brethren squad. I saw that mentioned in the comments, and it's like, I feel like he's like, let's go to Implausible Nature and let's see what they've talked about and
Yep.
take all my information from him.
Well, and I mean,
Joke.
for those of you that don't know, I'm one of his admins for his Discord server. And I talk about Sword Brethren every time I get a chance to. I mean, so he probably saw it there too. Me blathering on about how good Sword Bros are. But honestly, I don't think the Emperor's Champion really needs a buff. The only thing that I would give him, and maybe increase his points 5 or 10 points, is give him strikes first. That's or fights first, I guess it's called. That's the only thing I would do. I wouldn't allow it to transfer to the squad. It would just be for him only, because it makes sense for him to have it. He's a duelist. That's his role, is to hunt down the champions of the enemy. That being said, he more than likely, unless it's like a freaking giant monster like Angron or something like that, he will probably survive getting precision attacks directed his way. He does have a 2+ save, a 4+ invul, and he can blank a single damage per phase. So, it can just be like, oh, I failed this save, and it would kill me. Oh, I'm just going to turn it to 0. So he's pretty durable for what he is, even though he only has 5 wounds. But I don't really think he needs a buff. I mean, if you look at his attacks profile, he gets +1 to wound against the character unit, which, keep in mind, if your opponent has an attached unit, so a character's attached to a squad, they have the character keyword. So even if he's not swinging at the character, which he probably will be, but even if he's not, he gets +1 to wound against the whole squad, because that's how it works. Excuse me. So, his strike is like strength 8, AP 3, damage 3 base, so damage 4 with Sword Bros. He's got a 10 attack sweep, that's strength 6 with AP 2 and 1 damage, so damage 2. He's really mean. For 75 points, it's hard to ask for more, in my opinion. I think he's kind of a sleeper pick. A lot of people don't seem to see him as a good unit, and he has absolutely butchered everyone in my games. Like, I mean, his kill count is pretty insane for me when the games I've run him in.
Yeah, I mean, people typically look for synergies with what the character can do for the squad, and that's not wrong. You do want that. But in this particular case, with that particular unit, you want to be able to take a small, compact unit and punch up. And that's what he does. He punches up. And
Yep.
I honestly think he doesn't... I don't need... 5 points, I would maybe get him on the same level as the Judiciar. That would be what I would do. But if he stays the same, no changes to his stat line and such, which Balace Dataslates, honestly, they're not going to change individual data slates, so he's going to stay the same.
Very rarely, yeah.
It would be it would be a points adjustment, and
I don't see him going up. He's not being taken in like every tournament list. You know what I mean? I don't see him being changed at all, to be honest. So
yeah, I think he's fine, honestly. I take them when I can. The fights first would be nice, and when it comes down to like 5 or 10 points that I need on my list, he does go. Unfortunately, but he is something that I do look to take, him and Helbrecht, with my Sword Brethren. So, let's see, there was another question I want to touch, because I actually, unfortunately, have to leave in 10 minutes because I have to go to work. I got called in. So, let's see, there's another.
While you're looking for that, Grand Enforcer, thank you for the super chat. Um, Grimaldus rule question: if one of his relic bearers dies, does Grimaldus lose access to that relic buff? No. As long as one is alive, you can access all three. And that's the wording in his data sheet. So feel free to tank wounds on those other two because they are part of Grimaldus's data sheet. Therefore, they have a 4+ invulnerable save and a 5+ feel no pain natively. So feel free to tank some wounds on those guys, those first two, before you take on anything else in the squad. Just make sure you leave one alive, because otherwise you won't have access to the ability anymore, which you do want. But just one. All you need is one.
Yep. So to kind of finish off my thoughts a little bit, I couldn't find it. But in general, the data slate is, I think we're going to get soft touches. I think we're still going to be at the top of the curve. We're not going to be the 60%, but I still think we're going to be at the top of the curve. Because even if they nerf, I think they are going to do a data slate change on Ironstorm 2. So I think that's going to affect that detachment significantly.
What do you think they're going to do?
I think they're going to probably change how the rolls happen. Limit it in some fashion. But I'm not positive. Maybe it's going to be... I don't know. I'm not a game designer, so I'm not going to really speculate, but I think they're going to change it in some way.
Yeah.
My game design was limited to my suggestion about the Sword Brethren that they listened to. I'll save my juices for the next one. But yeah, overall, I think we'll still be sitting pretty on it. I like using the Righteous Crusaders. That's what I play all my games in. I haven't really done a ton in Ironstorm. I played like maybe half a dozen games in Ironstorm. It's not really my style, but I was playing pure gunline. There's some lists out there, like I mentioned. Ben, he's a very good player. He's running a mix, actually. He's running 3 Sword Brethren squads and the gunline. So that's kind of a mix I would be maybe willing to do, but I don't want to buy all this stuff for the Ironstorm, so don't do it.
Don't buy a whole bunch of Firstborn Marines no. I don't think it's going to last either. Which is why I'm waiting. Like, I have a bunch of extra las cannons. I think I have 1, maybe 2 actual Firstborn las cannon guys built. But I'm not doing anything else. I'm not going to build any more models or put those spare las cannons on anyone until after the points come out and we see where it stands. And then I might build some. I'm probably going to make them on Primaris bodies just because it looks so much better. So it's not like this like gigantic gun on this like little guy. Like, it actually looks appropriate. So yeah.
So Beyond the Grave kind of mentioned the enhancement. So that's a good point. I think it probably, if they change anything with that enhancement, it's probably going to make it a targeted thing rather than aura. So that would be something they could do to tone it down a little bit.
Or reduce the range on it to 3 inches.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't surprise me. So.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I think we're going to be sitting in the meta. So I think we're still going to be very solid. All of our units, I think, are going to still be intact other than the Firstborn Crusader, which if you are using Firstborn Crusaders, you'll probably have to drop 1 from your list because it's going to be 75 to 80 points. I would almost be willing to put money on it.
Yep.
Yeah. So...
And if you're running scouts as well, you're going to have to drop... You may have to drop 2 squads if you're running scouts as well. Because they're going up 10 or 15, no doubt, in my mind. They're just way too cheap for all the special rules they have. I mean, they have scouts, they have infiltrators, they have guerrilla tactics, they have, smoke. They've got a couple special weapons. They can do advance and shenanigans actions. They got so many special
They can be
rules.
put in a rhino, which is stupid,
They can be put in a rhino.
cheap, and
Scout the
efficient.
rhino. You could scout the rhino because it's a dedicated transport. So,
Yep.
so yeah.
So there's a lot of things with those guys. But overall, I think Space Marines are going to be in a good place. I think, especially the Black Templars. I think it's finally thinking in for all the top talking heads that the Black Templars are clearly the best um, supplement chapter out there. I think I heard even Auspex, and he's been typically very critical of the Black Templars. If you watch his videos over the last couple of years, they're like, Black Templars are not that good.
Well, he's a Blood Angel player, so.
But then he. Yeah. So, but even I heard him in one of his videos, he was like, yeah, the Black Templars are the best. So, that doesn't mean that we're going to catch nerfs. So,
Yeah.
like huge ones. And I don't
Like,
think it's going to happen.
it's the Iron
So,
Storm
I think-
detachment. Like, if you look at, like, Black Templars in our detachment, we're at 55%. That's right where we want to be.
Yeah.
It's the Iron Storm detachment that really takes advantage of cheap Crusader squads and some other, non-Black Templar things to make Black Templars, have that such a high win rate with it. So I think Iron Storm is going to catch a couple nerfs, and I think, obviously, like we said, our Firstborn Crusader squads are going to go up probably 15 points at least per squad, which, to be honest, is deserved. I'll still run them at 80 in an Iron Storm. They're just really good for what you get. So, so yeah. So unfortunately, Bob has to leave us.
All right, so I got a couple more minutes, and
then you gotta
we'll let
skedaddle.
Alex decide what he's going to do.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, I'll stick around. I'm happy to answer questions and chat as long as there is interest. So yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can I see the results from LVO? They haven't finished, so the top bracket doesn't have any placings right now.
I guess what he's asking
Daniel
is
Olivius
where can
is
we?
number one right now.
Where do you see that information? I guess is what he's asking.
Oh, where? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. So you have to download the app BCP Player off of the Google app or Apple Store
Don't you have to have an account
and register.
or have a
Yeah, you
a
gotta
subscription
register.
fee to it or something to see all that stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I was getting to it. So yes, and then there's a small charge that you have to pay to get access to it. I pay it, like I pay all of the other things, Games Workshop and all that stuff. It was like whatever, because I use it. So it's nice to be able to look at all these results, but you do have to pay for it to be able to get it. I don't remember how much it is. I just like open up my wallet and just pay it. They just charge me.
Rob's just like,
Just whatever it is, just click the button.
Bob's like, I need the info.
So, yeah, they're gonna up the price to like $2,000, and I'm like, oh.
Bob's gonna be like, wait a minute, what just happened?
I mean, let's be honest. The Bretonian army just came out, and I just spent like $800. And don't tell my wife.
Bro, you're live on the internet. She could watch this stream.
She does not watch it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No,
Neither does my wife.
parents do.
Really? That's awesome.
Yes, my dad does.
Woolish says
He
10-man
doesn't have any
Termy
of the
squad
ones I'm talking about.
led by Termy Chaplain with Tannhauser's bones. Yay or nay? Absolutely yay. David, aka Orion, from our Discord server, swears by them, runs them in his tournament lists. He's a pretty Pretty good tournament player. Done really well in some big tournaments. The You want to run the assault version with storm shields because now you got 4 wound termies with their defensive profile and a 5+ feel no pain. The chaplain is better with them because that +1 to wound really helps those thunderhammers. And then we can tack on an extra AP, so make them AP3 if we need to. So yeah, I've tried them out. I've only run them once, but man, I'm a believer in it. It's a big old block of stuff, but you plunk it down in the middle of the board, and your opponent just has to deal with it, and it's hard to deal with. So yeah, absolutely, I agree. Have I had a chance
very
to?
adaptable. You can deep strike them if you need. You can walk them if you need.
Yep.
Doing all kinds of stuff.
Grand Enforcer says, "Have you had a chance to think about and compile a BT reading list?" No, I should do that because it's a thing I think people would be interested in. I don't know if I've read every BT book. I think there's some that I haven't. So I'll have to look into that. Well, it says, don't have those termies, just got the new models. You can run the new models. It's power fists are, mathematically the same as thunderhammers. They'll benefit from it as well. So I mean, they're not going to be quite as durable because they don't have 4 wounds. 4 wounds is like a break point that is tough for some armies because they'll have either a lot of damage 1 stuff or a lot of damage 3 stuff, and if it's damage 3, it hoses them because you need a whole extra attack, assuming you fail all your feel no pains, for them to kill you. So that's why the 4 wounds is really nice. But you can make it work with regular termies. It's just going to not be quite as durable.
Yeah. And I would honestly probably run the captain with it instead of the chaplain if you're running the shooty ones.
I think you got options. Yeah, free strat is nice. Rerolls to charge. So, think they're going to touch the Desolation Squad. Don't own a Whirlwind would be nice to see some indirect from time to time. They need to go down in points. 200 is ridiculous for them.
I do think they're going to go down in points.
Yeah. What do you think is a fair cost for those?
Probably 150, 165, somewhere on there.
Really? You think that low? I was thinking 175. Yeah. So.
I still think no one's going to take him in at 175.
Maybe, yeah. Great Enforcer asks, do you think the new Assault Terminators will be forthcoming soon? I sure hope so. Because remember, the multi-part Captain kit is still mysteriously not here. So I think he's going to come out with the Storm Shield guys, Assault guys. Surely they're going to make some. I mean, how could they not? So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it's there's rumors that it was going to come out with the Dark Angels, but obviously we have seen that this is not going to be the case. So,
yeah.
It's going to be interesting. But with that being said, I have to bid you all a farewell. Time to go to work. So thank you for stopping in. If you have any questions that I missed, just feel free to shoot them towards me at the Discord. I'll be available a little bit later today, so I can take a look at it.
Yep.
But thanks for joining us. Yeah, and have fun with Alex.
Yeah. All right, Bob. I'll see you later. Yep. All right, guys. So I'll hang around for a bit. If you guys got questions or anything that you want to chat about in particular, it's I probably won't stay a whole nother hour like we normally do, but I can certainly answer any questions that you might have. So Bob mentioned the old world. I know that's not what we normally discuss, but I'm a sucker for anything knights. That's why I play Black Templars. And I have an old Bretonnian army that's just waiting for that. Any of you guys picking up the old world to get some rank and file fighting going on? I'm interested to see. It seems like Bretonnians are going to be pretty good in that. So I've gotten a copy of the rules, uh, and yeah, Bob's $800 later. I've gotten a copy of the rules, and I have yet to like fully peruse them. But I did talk to someone who played a game with them, and he said that uh, they did pretty well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're capable of. Jared says, "Not me. Shipping delays have prevented your game store from getting stock of any of it." Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of shipping delays with um, with that. From what I've heard, a lot of issues around, especially in the U.S. Um, so so yeah, it's unfortunate. So to kind of go over some stuff that is coming soon. Bob and I have a bunch of videos in the pipeline. We got more deep dive detachments. We got a Math Hammer video coming. I've been working on, if you guys have been following my YouTube short series, I've been working on my Sword Bros. We're approaching the end. I think yesterday was day 90. I forgot to make a video, so I'm going to make one after this stream and publish it. For work yesterday I did, but I got my Sword Bros tabards all complete on the first 5 Sword Bros. So really excited about that. Not too much left to do on them before they're ready to go. So I do want to start up the Templars Tips series again. So for that, throw your questions on in the chat here, or drop us a line in the Discord, or you can send go to the Implausible Nature website and send Bob an email. Those kind of things. Let me know what things you have questions about, because it's one of those things I want to. There's some I see repeated stuff, and I want to get the answers out there so that people stop having confusion around some of this stuff. Matthew says, "What's your take on the Lancer in 1,000-point games? I'm struggling with having 165 points in one heavily targeted unit in a smaller game." Yeah, so here's the issue with that. When you take a Lancer, you really want 2, for that very reason, because people are going to target it. What I might consider, Matthew, is maybe drop it down to a Ballista Dread if you have one. They're only 140 points. They're a little more durable. They get a 2+ save, and still some pretty good weaponry. You could also take a Predator Annihilator. It's only 130. Again, not quite as good as the Lancer, but still have some decent damage output with that, and save you 35 points. 1,000 points it's weird. It's a completely different game at 1,000 points. You're so much more restrictive in what you've got access to because of the points. So I would try one of those 2 options and see how that helps you. Grand Enforcer says, "My BT addiction bleeds much of my disposable cash." Yep, I hear you. Somehow, with as many, I have like 10,000 points of Black Templars, and yet somehow I continue to buy more stuff. I also asked, when your painting challenge is done, could you make some more Templar tips? So those are helpful. Yep, I plan to. I want to make more of those. it's really just a matter of I got to sit down and write out the script and record them. That actually takes the longest part. Editing them is super easy because it's like, you know, it's only like a 5-minute video. So it's really like getting my thoughts concise enough so that I'm not just rambling on. Because if I try to just wing it, I often find myself like rambling and stopping and starting, and then it makes more work for me to edit. So if I can kind of coalesce my thoughts into 1 5-minute time block, that's usually what I like to do. My BTs are done in multiple different ways of attempting to paint them well. Yeah, something to think about. I have the same thing. I have some older models. Some of them I don't use anymore because they're firstborn models, and I don't really run firstborn that much. If your painting is always evolving and getting better, then that's fine. It's an evolution of your painting, and that's kind of what's important is getting to a level that you're happy with, and maintaining that level. There's also, like, I'm all about always learning new things, so always be trying to learn new techniques, try out different things to see if that works for you or if you like that. And then also, while you're doing that, when you hit a place where like this level is where I want my BT to be, or whatever I'm painting, get faster at painting that level, because then you'll be able to churn through more models. So it's kind of twofold. Always be trying to take it to the next level to learn new stuff, but get faster at what you've learned so that you can paint more in less time. I'm a really slow painter. I'll be the first one to tell you. I think on my video I showed you guys my pile of potential, and it's sad how little is actually painted. so yeah. Bart just got here. Got to rewatch. No worries, brother. No worries, brother. If you're wondering where Bob went, Bob he got called in to go to work today, unfortunately, at the last minute. So he was with us for the first hour, and I'm going to hang around for a little bit. Seems like we've got some good chatter going on in the comments here. Corporal Chaos, a recommended Patreon level for someone coming back into 10th after a long break. So it kind of depends on what you want out of it. We have, obviously we appreciate any support that you want to give. All of our patron levels give a special role in the Discord channel. Our Sword Brethren and Castellan level patrons get a free, I think it's once a quarter, Bob does list reviews. He'll, because once a month we felt like was a little too often. People were not taking advantage of it, so we bumped it back to a little bit less. But you'll be able to submit your list to Bob. He'll give a complete breakdown for you of the list, and give you advice on what you're trying to accomplish. Obviously, if you're like, I'm just playing casually, but I want to play casually, to this level. Okay. We're not going to say, redo your whole list. He tries to keep it within the vein of what you're trying to accomplish. So basically personalized list advice. We'll do that. Sword Bros and Castellans also get some free merch. Sword Bros get a free t-shirt. Castellans get a free t-shirt and free dice. There is that, after your second month. I think it's the second month subscription of that. So a lot of really neat things going along with that, and an exclusive channel in our Discord as well that's just patrons. So yeah, like I said, we greatly appreciate whatever level you want to contribute at. But if you're looking for some personalized list advice, Sword Brethren or higher would be a good place to start with that. What color schemes fit the lore and why? I want to do another heraldry video. So just to first preface, I'm a purist. If they're not black armored, then I'm not happy. But that being said, there's plenty of ways to alter that scheme slightly and still feel really Black Templar. You could alter the shoulder pad scheme. Seen some people do like all red. I've seen people do like all black with white crosses. That looks really sharp. I think personally I would stay with black armor, or almost all black armor, just because it's that's what we are. But in the end, they're your models, so paint them how you want to. Whatever you like. But if you're trying to stay within the lore, you want to stay all black. The shoulder heraldry, there is a bunch of different, through the years, it's changed some. But you can really kind of take any combination of like red, black, and white and fiddle around with it and find something that you like just to make them stand out, be a little different. I don't think that's out of the realm of the possibility of a crusade in lore, being lore accurate, changing their shoulder pad colors to fit something else. So Josh asks, what's the largest battle I've had with my Templars? Let's see. That would probably be years ago. So there was one time me and my friends, we did, this was back in like, I don't know, probably sixth edition, 7th edition maybe, I don't remember, where we decided we had a whole day and we were going to do a sort of a mega battle. So me and my Dark Angel friend brought, I think, 2,000 points of each of units. And then we had two friends that both played orcs. And they brought, like, I think, either 1,000 each or 2,000 each or something like that. It was... Basically, we made it a narrative battle. We played long ways. We used my friend's Fortress of Redemption. And it was, how long can the Space Marines hold out? So every time an orc unit died, it got to respawn the next turn on the board edge, the far board edge. So it was, how long could we hold out? And I think we played 8 hours, and there were still a few Space Marines left. But that was definitely the largest battle I ever played, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, like I said, we played for like 8 hours that day, and it was a blast. A lot of fun moments. Beyond the Grave asks, think they will ever change Nid's spore mines? Feels bad when they start deploying teleport homers. Yeah, it's a little annoying when they do that. But the thing about it is Nids aren't like dominating the meta, and people aren't. It's annoying, but I don't think it's too terrible. You know what I mean? So I don't think they're going to change them, to be honest, because it's not a problem. GW really looks at stuff when it's like a big problem. Either a unit is like over damaging stuff, or that sort of thing. That's when stuff gets looked at. Bart says, never forget to have fun with painting. Yes, listen to this man. Bart he's one of our Templar Da Vinci's. So for those of you who don't know, our Discord channel, we do a biannual painting event with a big prize. Usually $200 to $300 or an army box or something like that. I think going forward, we're going to just do a gift card for GW. And the reason is the army boxes are fun, but I've had to ship several of them overseas, and it's a nightmare. trying to do that between customs delays. I had one box returned that we spent a lot of money to ship, and yeah, so I think we're just going to do a gift card, but usually it's like $200 to $300. And if you win it, you get a special role called Templar Da Vinci, and Bart is one of our Templar Da Vincis. So any painting advice Bart gives, everyone should listen to because he is very good. Yeah, postage is an issue, no kidding. Versus I can just click a button and give you a gift card. It's much easier. So... Grand Enforcer said, I did everything in black armor, attack, apothecary, even halberd. I think it just looks so awesome. So I didn't. I did halberd in his. I tried to replicate the studio scheme. I really liked it. And I wanted to try to stick as closely to that as I could. I should take some lightbox pictures of him because I haven't done that in a while. And I can post those up for you guys either on the community page or in the Discord. So I did Helbert Studio Scheme. For Tech Marine and Apothecary, I kind of struggled back and forth on what I wanted to do. Because part of me was like, we're Black Templars. We don't care about Codex colors. They'd be all black. And then I was like, I want to change. So I painted my Apothecary white, all white, like a regular Apothecary, and I painted my Tech Marine red, just for something different. And it also kind of makes them pop against all the black, all the rest of the army. So it kind of really makes them stand out. So that's what I did. For my Helix gauntlet guy in my, Infiltrator squad, he's not really like a true apothecary, but he's sort of an apothecary kind of thing. So I just painted his helmet white, and the circle on his backpack white, and that worked out. I think it makes him sort of stand out against the squad, but he's still black otherwise. Is there a lore reason why he has bronze armor? Because he's a narcissist. Nice. No, actually there is. I think originally, when the original studio scheme was done, they painted him in like this brassy gold color, and I think they just thought it looked cool. They didn't have a lore reason. However, when ADB, Aaron Dembski Bowden, the guy who wrote Hell's Reach, wrote the sequel to Hell's Reach, which was like a novella. It was Blood and Fire. He put a lore reason in there for why Helbrecht wears the color armor that he does, and I actually saved a snippet of that because Aaron does such a amazing job like describing stuff. Like, I love it. So this is, I'll read it to you. This is why, according to ADB, why Helbrecht wears that brass armor. And it says, I remember thinking so clearly, he is warfare given human form. No other words could describe him so completely. Armor of black and gold marked him out from the rank and file, not for exaltation, but so he drew the enemy's eyes and ire. When Helbrecht pulled steel, he wanted to be seen. My lord was always the first in the fight, at the center of the front line. That's badass to me. So, and I just love that the line, when Helbrecht pulled steel, he wanted to be seen. He wants to be like, come at me, bro. So yeah, that's the lore reason that I stick to as to why he's got that armor that way, and I dig it. I think it's cool. Bart says, painted your Tech Marine red and Apothecary white because you wanted a break from black. But other than this, I would have paint black now, same as my Helbrecht. Yeah, that's the same, Bart. I wanted a break, like I said. It's good to have a break. That's why, if you guys have been following my hobby challenge, I've been painting HeroQuest orcs, and I don't know that anyone on this channel really wants to see my HeroQuest orcs, but it's a break from the Black Templars, and it's been it's been fun to paint them because I'm using speed paints. Like I'm not like taking them to the level that like my sword brethren are, or even initiates are with my Black Templars. I try to paint those to a really high level. But HeroQuest is, I just want them to look decent, when we play the board game. So yeah, so using speed paints and stuff like that to just try to make them look good, and not they don't have to win golden demons. It's just HeroQuest. So I tried the slap chop method on them. So basically, I base coated them black, and then I took a gray primer aerosol can. I could have airbrushed them, but I have gray, and then zenithal, straight down zenithal on them, and then I take a white and dry brush white all over them, and then you put the contrast paint on them, and it comes out pretty good. Um, so yeah. Downton Stabby says, I'm asking for punishment. I'm sure I'm still building my army, but my local meta is comprised primarily of Custodes player. Any tips for building a list to not get completely wrecked? Custodes are not super great right now, to be honest. And I would, obviously, you got to play to your meta a bit. I wouldn't tailor specifically to Custodes, just because I think it's a little unsporting to list tailor directly to your opponent. But if you have like multiple Custodes players in your meta, then you got to take that into account, certainly. But yeah, you want I would run more. I would probably look at running like a durable tank list. With not tanks necessarily, but like a big brick of Terminators with Storm Shields and a Chaplain. Blocks of infantry. Like Custodes' limitation is that they're small squads, and they're not a lot of them. So if you can, remember we went on points, not destroying our opponent. So if you can outscore them and overwhelm them with target saturation units, then they're going to have trouble keeping score with you. And see what works for you. See what works for your playstyle. So, it's okay to lose. Even badly. I've lost badly. But just learn from it, and how could I do better is what you want to be thinking about. Grand Enforcer bought a knight because I thought a big ally would be fun. Haven't built it yet as it's too cold for me to prime it, but we'll be painting in full BT colors. That'll be cool. You should send us some pictures of it when it's done. I personally don't like running allies like knights and assassins and stuff like that. I like pure BT, but there's definitely some merit to both. I think we did a video on that too, although I can't remember if that was 9th edition or 10th edition. I'll have to go back and look at that video and see what edition it was. But yeah, I mean, the thing about knights, the big ones are really expensive. So they tend to get focused on because it's the only thing. So if you're going to do it, you got to make sure there's other threats. I would try to include like a couple gladiator lancers in there just to make it so that, if they focus on the knight, they're not focusing on your lancers, which will do a commensurate amount of damage as well. Yeah, the giant thermal cannon is pretty sweet. So, I think I think that's we're gonna wrap it up here. If you guys have any last minute questions, I'm out of drink, and I'm getting hoarse, so I don't want to start coughing on you guys. But if you have any last minute questions, would love to answer them for you. Keep an eye out for. Oh, I know something that I want to tell you guys about. I alluded to it on our on my shorts, but something I've discovered about YouTube Shorts. YouTube doesn't notify you the same way they do with videos. So like if you're subscribed to the channel, and I pop out a video onto the main channel, you guys get a notification. At least that's how it works for me. But shorts, I'll get like 2 days later a notification of one of my shorts, and it's like, what's happening? So unless you're actively following along, you may not know. In any case, I am working on my next thing that I'm working on. I finally got in the mail from Russia with Love a sprue of Captain Artemis from the Death Watch. Now, why do I want a tiny little firstborn Space Marine? Aha, but I don't. I wanted it for 2 bits. His backpack and his combi weapon, because they're really like old school Blanche looking weapons. Like really like Baroque with like cables and stuff coming off of it. I got inspired that, so obviously the big dude with the axe and the combi flamer, GW made that mini for us. Awesome. I love the Blanche Templars. They're so cool. They're so like quintessentially 40k. So yeah. I noticed in the upgrade sprue that they have the head of the dude who has the lightning claw and the flamer, the hand flamer, which is like a bolt pistol hand flamer combo type thing. They have his head. It's very clear because he's got like the circlet thing with the, what do you call it, Aquila and whatnot. And so I was like, oh, maybe I should make him. So I set about looking at using, like, I think I'm using a sword burrow body for him. And then I was looking at the other ones. I'm like, maybe I should make some more of these Templars. So I'm kind of going to go and make as many of the, like, more interesting looking Blanche Templars from the art, a conversion project for that. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to do a series. That'll be a main channel. I won't do shorts on that. It's not enough time to talk about what I'm doing. But look out for that series coming soon. So, yeah, I think Bob's got a beard. Now you're having me question. I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's got a beard. He goes back and forth. Sometimes he shaves it, sometimes he doesn't. Mine's all gray, but whatever. So, but in any case, guys, really appreciate you joining us today. So yeah, thank you for sticking with us. I know it's a little shorter than normal. Unfortunately, Bob had to skip out a bit early, but if you haven't, check out our Discord, check out our Patreon. Got a lot of great things going on. Look at baronofdice.com to find our exclusive dice. We've got both our exclusive Patreon dice on there as well as our regular dice. I think we're going to try and do another new set of colors for them. So until next time.